All right, let's talk about Jared Verse, the reigning defensive player of the year, who really just had a very impressive season. I thought was well deserving of that award, and let's talk about why. So first things first, let's start off with play that you see on your screen. This is what you call a stunt. There's several things you could call it, but we'll just call it a stunt here. And if you're going to play for the Rams, you have to be able to run these concepts. They like to do this, and rightfully so. I mean, it's an effective play where essentially the interior defensive lineman's job is going to be to kind of take away the tackle and go to the left of the guard, our left of the guard, and then you have Verse who's going to hopefully, if the center's blocking the other way, could maybe get in between the center and the guard, get a straight shot to Hurts, or at least just get a favorable situation. Jared Verse, of course, on this play, he is the one who I have circled in white, and let's see what happens. First things first, you're going to see that this play, again, taking away the tackle at first, really selling as though that's where he's going to be going, so doing his job here. He does get, past him, but ultimately when he gets over here, there is a center who's ready to block, which again, you have to kind of guess on these plays. You're not always going to guess right. Sometimes the center's on your side, and what are you going to do, right? But still, watch how he really does overpower the center and helps drive him back, forces Hurts to take a step back, making things a little bit easier for another defensive lineman to ultimately get to Hurts and generate the sack right there. It's good stuff. It's well executed by the Rams. It's nothing spectacular, but there certainly are things that are spectacular. Like this next one, okay, it's going to be kind of a similar thing. He's going to move over, and he's going to be going up against the guard on this play. You're going to have, actually, it's an off-ball linebacker who's going to try to go off the edge right here. So, okay, just watch Verse and what he's going to do against Mekhi Becton, who is a huge right guard. Watch his Verse, well, he definitely surprises him. Watch him just overpower him, shoves him to the ground, and just for good measure, tosses Hurts to the ground as well. I mean, the power that he can generate with Jared Verse, despite being such an explosive player as well, is just remarkable. I mean, there are very few players. Like, you do get the Khalil Mack comparisons a little bit when you see these types of plays, right? His ability to just run guys over when he gets there so quickly, it's tough to stop. But I also think he does a really good job at being a technician as well. Everyone talks about physical traits with defensive linemen, but ultimately that can only get you so far, right? At the NFL level, you have the most physically talented people on the planet. If you are just an athlete, they're going to be able to, realize how to handle you. On this play, he's going up against Jordan Mailata, one of the better tackles in the league. Let's see what happens. When this play begins, you're going to see that right off the bat, Mailata's not doing a bad job with his hand placement, but what you're going to see Verse do is he grabs onto that right shoulder pad area, and what he's going to do is just pull, which yes, you are allowed to do. I know that's kind of holding, but you're just you're allowed to do that. That's something that's okay. Watch him pull that right side back. He's able to get through, and he helps make a quick tackle on that one. That's one of those plays where Mailata then walks over to pick up Saquon Barkley because he's like, hey, I screwed that up. I have to help pick up the guy who I helped, I caused to get hit on that play. That's good stuff by Jared Verse. If you could ever, as a defensive lineman, get the guy who is trying to block you to have to quickly pick somebody up, you've done your job effectively, and Verse definitely is capable of doing that. And another thing you got to just like about Verse is he's just a high motor player, which some guys are, some guys aren't, and you can't really teach it. It's just what some people are. Where this play, it's once again going to be a stunt. This one isn't going to be quite as effective. You're going up against Philadelphia. They have good offensive linemen. Watch how on this play, you're going to see that Verse, kind of takes a pretty hard hit by the left guard right there, trying to get back up. I mean, it's tough, right? He just took a blow. It's, snowing out. Clearly, it's cold, but just watch him. He quickly gets back up to his feet, is going to hustle, and ultimately helps bring Jalen Hurts down. Again, is that a highlight reel level play? No. Ultimately, it's going to count in the stat sheet just as much, which is part of why sacks can be a misleading stat sometimes, but ultimately, it's still a good play by Verse, and it shows what he can do, which is he is, again, a high hustle player. He's going to constantly be fighting to try and have an impact, and clean up sacks, I think sometimes we go too far the other way with it. We're like, yes, it is always, the other sack I showed in this video was a much more impressive play, in my opinion, than this one, but this was still a positive play, right? This still is a big impact play that he can do. And again, the twitchiness that he has, a play like this where you see right off the bat, it's going to be a running play or in a goal line situation, and you're going to actually have the tight end who's going to flash over, and he's going to be the one to try and block Verse on this play. Well, when this play begins, you see as of right here, again, it doesn't have to be a massive block. It really doesn't. But watch Verse just kind of get around him altogether, and he did also kind of help slow down the tackle who was pulling over to block another linebacker, gives the linebacker a chance to make that tackle. Did it work out? Well, not exactly, but he gave him a chance, right? And ultimately, it was just a good play by Jared Verse, which is why I wanted to show it. He just really checks every single box. So yeah, I mean, ultimately for Jared Verse, like, again, it's pretty crazy where sometimes when I make these film studies, like, you'll see me, I'm kind of picking some, tape against not the best opponents. And I'm not trying to just pick highlights. I want to show everything. But also, like, if I'm going to show a positive play, I want to really show a positive play. And usually to do that, it's against lower level of competition, right? Because those just kind of pop more. Here, I mean, this is the Eagles' offensive line that I'm showing film from. This is, if not the best offensive line, a top 3 offensive line in football. Like, Detroit's up there, right? But, like, they're really good, and he can beat even the best of players. These are Pro Bowlers and All Pros that he is dominating against, and he only got better as the season progressed. He is someone who the overall sack totals weren't great. I think he only had like 4.5 sacks in the regular season, but like, sack totals can be heavily misleading. They just can. And like, if you're someone who can consistently win, the sacks will come. And again, if you watched him and watched the tape last year, I think everybody would agree that like, he was a lot better than just his box score stats would indicate. He was much closer to what his box score stats would indicate against Philadelphia when he had 2 sacks in that game. That's more of what we usually see when we watch him. Because again, it's not just bringing the quarterback down, it's disrupting the quarterback, it's getting constant pressure, it's helping out your teammates by forcing the quarterback to have to move in different directions, things of that nature. And it's just kind of crazy where we look at, you lost Aaron Donald, how are you going to make this work? And they said, okay, we've got to just draft a bunch of defensive linemen, get enough to make it work, the Moneyball thing, replace him in the aggregate, right, all that stuff. And it's like, oh, well, we also just got Jared Verse, and he's like a really good number 1 edge rusher right away, which helps this stuff, which, well done. Turns out the Rams pretty good at this drafting in the first round kind of thing. Next year when they have 2 first-round picks, they should do well. But, yeah, those are my thoughts on all of this. What are yours? Let me know in the comments below. Always love hearing from you. And, of course, as always, thanks for watching.